Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and welcome back to my playthrough of the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. We are closing in on the end of the main quest. I've got to go ahead and speak with Vivec just in here. I put it off last time in case he has a lot to say. I suspect he'll have a lot to say. So let's head on in and talk to him. And that is Vivec, floating around like it ain't no thing. He's half Dunmer, half some other mer. And this is kind of a dark room. So, let's talk to this man.
We have business, you and
Echoing voice.
When I was young like you, I was very impatient. So I will keep our business short. Then
I don't know if you can hear his voiceover. It's kind of echoey.
First, I propose to remove my curse upon the Nerevarine, end the persecution of the dissident priests, and proclaim to all Morrowind that you are the incarnate and Nerevarine, the prophesied savior of Morrowind, and the last hope to withstand the menace of Daggerfall and the Sixth House. These things I will do, whether you wish or not.
Alright, so he's going to basically validate my standing. Okay.
Next, I propose to surrender to you the power and responsibility of defeating Daggerfall. You may choose to refuse. I will not compel you. You will receive the power as a gift in the form of an artifact called Wraithguard.
So he's going to give me Wraithguard.
Accept the gift, then do with it as you will. You will receive the responsibility as an oath. You may give your oath, then keep it or break it as you like. First, will you accept Wraithguard as a gift?
So Wraithguard is one of Kagranak's tools, and he's going to just give it to me in return for an oath. Yes, I accept the Wraithguard.
Sensible of you. And now will you give your oath before all gods and men, before all spirits visible and invisible, before
The music is drowning him out, probably.
To dedicate yourself and Wraithguard to the defeat and destruction of Daggerfall and the preservation of Morrowind and its people.
So he wants me to swear that I will do everything in my power to dedicate myself and Wraithguard to the defeat and destruction of Daggerfall. Maybe it depends. Not. Yes, I do swear.
Not very sensible, but very good.
Very good.
I was hoping for someone who would have no hesitations about making such an oath. You will now have a brief momentary sensation of time passing. Don't be alarmed. You are being taken out of time in order to avoid the unpleasant experience of learning how to use Wraithguard.
So he's going to take me out of time to teach me how to learn Wraithguard. How to use Wraithguard.
There is a brief sensation of motion in total darkness, floating
Different voiceover.
without a sense of weight or direction.
You know it now. I will notify the temple that you are our champion. There shall be no more persecution of the dissident priests, and I hope both sides shall swiftly be reconciled. We have time for questions if you like, or you may leave as you wish. But I think there are at least two things you ought to know before you leave. How to use Wraithguard, and how...
So he's going to tell me straight up how to defeat Daggerfall. I'm going to ask him how to defeat Daggerfall first. Go to Red Mountain. I have to recover Sunder. God damn it.
Then recover the artifact blade Keening from Gate Citadel Overhaul. Then proceed with Wraithguard, Sunder, and Keening to the Citadel of Daggerfall.
So I have at least 2 dungeon crawls before Daggerfall.
Find the heart of Lorcan. Use the 3 artifacts to sever Daggerfall's connection to the heart, and he will be destroyed, and the blight ended on Morrowind.
I have no idea what a gate citadel is, but it sounds like some sort of dungeon crawl. So I've got 2 dungeon crawls to get 2 items, and I'll have all of Kagranak's tools, and I'll go find Daggerthor in the heart.
You must sever his connection with
the heart of Lorcan.
To do this,
strike the heart with the artifact. Sunder once.
Then strike the heart more than once with the artifact blade keening.
More than once.
You must wear Wraithguard, because you cannot handle either sunder or keening unless you are wearing Wraithguard. That is the short.
So you have to wear Wraithguard, or else those items like basically kill you.
Here is the long, detailed explanation written down for your convenience.
That's the short, simple explanation.
Study it.
Versus the long, detailed explanation. Alright. Well, let's ask about Red Mountain in general.
In my library, I have made available 2 conflicting accounts of the events of Red Mountain. My own true account and another false account common among the Ashlanders and preserved in the Apocrypha. I don't care whether you believe my account or not. I leave it up to you to judge which is true.
So he ain't making any excuses for himself.
I want your trust and willing cooperation. So I've had the priest make copies of a number.
So he's given me a bunch of documents regarding this. Not bad.
Or take with you. Take a look at them.
Let me ask you about council. Where is Daggerfall? Holy shit, that's a lot of stuff. And I still don't know if you can hear his words over the background music.
What are Daggerfall's powers? What is known about Daggerfall's defenses? How can I prepare for battle against Daggerfall? Who can help?
Alright, so... this is a lot of shit. Okay, let's talk about Daggerthor himself first. Daggerthor is the former Lord High Counselor. Okay.
He was of Lord Nerevar's generation, older than we, and a mighty sorcerer and enchanter in life. In his sustained shadowy mortality, he appears to be a highly intelligent, severely deluded immortal monster with unparalleled supernatural abilities.
So Nerevar and Daggerthor were actually the older generation beyond Vivec and Amalexia and Sothosil.
In short, he is a mad god.
So they were actually, so these guys were actually like the kids in this particular fight. Oh man, there's so much to ask about. Where is Daggerthor? Never ventured out of the heart chamber. So he, as soon as I get to Red Mountain, I can find the heart chamber and go in.
It is there, or nearby, that he is constructing a new god, Akula Khan. Also
Akula Khan?
as second Numidium.
The Numidium was the creature that was in Daggerfall, the false god. Okay, so he's making a second one. Daggerthor's defense.
Confer with the ordinators and buoyant armigers, garrisoning Ghost
So I gotta go to Ghost Gate
the latest information
to ask about the defense of the citadels.
citadels of Daggerfall and his hard-white kin.
Alright, how about his plans?
We know nothing for sure, but we have learned much from interrogating 6 house cultists and victims of dream compulsions, and from our study of Daggerfall.
So he's given me a copy of Daggerthor's plans that they know of.
Prepared a document.
What about his powers? I'm going to assume you can't hear anything, and I'm probably going to read out a lot of these things I'm going to be handed.
The victims are either swayed by his compulsions or driven mad. He also seems nearly invulnerable to physical and magical harm. His flesh and the flesh of his followers evolves towards a mutable, magical form. Daggerthor and the highest ranks can control the distorted manifestations of their flesh. Lower ranks lose control of their bodies and become mindless, corpus monsters.
So he mutates them, talks them into their mind, and is virtually immortal, or virtually invulnerable as well. Okay, Daggerthor's servants.
Among his servants are his 7 brothers.
7 brothers, the Ash Vampires. So there's 7 Ore brothers out there in Red Mountain somewhere.
These creatures appear to die, but always are revived at the heart. Somehow Daggerthor has conferred some portion of his immortality upon them. Or perhaps they sustain themselves through more conventional sorcery.
Okay. So I think I'll ask him who can help. Okay, basically telling me to Ghostgate. Let me ask him about Red Mountain proper. Okay, yeah, okay. Already heard this. What's next? Prepare for battle. Beyond Ghostfest.
There are no safe places, no allies. Stockpile resources.
I've got plenty of resources.
Plan for retreat and replenishment. Quest for artifacts of power.
It's basically saying go get some Daedric artifacts and or some high-end shit before you go in there. I think I've already exhausted all of that. So I will bid him farewell. Now let's pop up Night Eye and see what his quote-unquote library has to offer us. Here we go. Plan to defeat Daggerthor. For the past 20 years, the Tribunal have tried unsuccessfully to execute this plan. However, we failed because we were required to stage an assault and simultaneously maintain the Ghost Fence to prevent the threatened large-scale breakout of Daggerthor's blighted hosts. With the Nerevarine leading the assault, and the Tribunal free to devote their full energies to maintaining the Ghost Fence, this plan has a greater chance of success. Unfortunately, however, the loss of the artifacts Sunder and Keening and the recent increase in Daggerthor's strength poses new problems for the execution of the plan. Therefore, our proposed plan has the following 5 phases. A series of aggressive raids to scout inside the Ghost Fence. A series of aggressive raids to neutralize Daggerthor's Ash Vampire kin and recover artifacts from the bodies of his kin. An assault of Gate Citadel Veminal to neutralize Dagath Vemin and recover the artifact Hammer Sunder. An assault of Gate Citadel Ordosal to neutralize Dagath Ordos and recover the artifact Blade Keening. An assault of Citadel Dagoth with the artifacts Wraithguard, Sunder, and Keening to sever Daggerthor's connection to the heart of Lorkhan and thus to destroy Daggerthor. Phase 1, raids inside the Ghost Fence. Tribunal Ordinators and Buoyant Armigers are familiar with the terrain and will provide maps and current intelligence reports. The region inside the Ghost Fence is dangerous and the Nerevarine will need to be familiar with its particular challenges. After measuring skills and resources against Daggerthor's defenses, the Nerevarine will know better how to pace a campaign, alternating raids with improving skills, getting better equipment, and stockpiling resources. In other words, grind and then go in. Raids upon Ash Vampire Citadels. Daggerthor's kin have become markedly more powerful in recent decades after remaining stable for thousands of years. If they can be individually isolated and destroyed, they will not be able to support Daggerthor in later stages of the war. It may also be that the dramatic increase in their power comes from items enchanted by Daggerthor. Salvage of such items might contribute to our resources. Assault on Gate Citadel Veminal. Essential to recover the artifact Hammer Sunder for Phase 5, the Ash Vampire Dagath Vemin has possession of Sunder and probably seeks to discover the secrets of its enchantments. It may also have access to notebooks and journals of Kagranak that have survived in the Dwemer workshops of Veminal. Assault on Gate Citadel Ordosal. Essential to recover the artifact Blade Keening for Phase 5, the Ash Vampire Dagath Odros has possession of Keening and probably seeks to discover the secrets of its enchantments. It may also have access to notebooks and journals of Kagranak that have survived the Dwemer workshops of Ordosal. Assault on Citadel Dagoth. All of the previous stages are preparations for this stage. Recent expeditions show that Citadel Dagoth has undergone extensive expansion. The location will need to be explored carefully. The known route to the Heart Chamber will be well defended. Alternative routes may exist. Daggerthor will have anticipated our plan to destroy him by attacking the Heart, and he will almost certainly personally oppose approach to the Heart Chamber. Together the Tribunal could not defeat him, and he has grown stronger since then. Admittedly, the Tribunal had the distraction of maintaining the Ghost Fence simultaneously with fighting Daggerfall, but even so, the challenge seems daunting. The adoption of this phased campaign seems to offer the best chances of success. In retrospect, the Tribunal's decision to directly assault Citadel Dagoth rather than proceed step by step through lesser objectives must be seen to have been a serious error. The Tribunal did not feel it had the option of that slow-paced and deliberate campaign, given that they had many other competing priorities, not the least of which was maintenance of the Ghost Fence and the outer defenses surrounding Red Mountain. The Reverine, on the other hand, should be best served by a careful, step-by-step advance, with the additional advantage of building confidence along the way, while successes would undermine Daggerthor's own assurance in his defenses. Employing Kagranak's tools against Daggerthor, the source of Daggerthor's supernatural power, is the Heart of Lorcan. The Heart is also the source of the Tribunal's divine power. During mythic times, the gods took and hid Lorcan's heart beneath Red Mountain as a punishment for creating the mortal plane. The Dwemer discovered the heart while building underground colonies. High Craft Lord Kagranak created enchanted tools intended to tap the power of the heart. The War of the First Council was fought to prevent this sacrilege. Kagranak's use of these tools and the disappearance of the Dwemer race marked the end of the war. Kagranak's tools were recovered by Lord Nerevar and Daggerthor. Daggerthor was left to guard the tools while Nerevar came to consult with us, his advisors. In Nerevar's absence, Daggerthor experimented with the tools upon the heart and was corrupted. We returned to discover a deranged Daggerthor who refused to turn over the tools. When he attacked us, we drove him away. We left Red Mountain with the tools and subsequently sought the Sill discovered their secrets. Collectively, we used the tools to establish a connection with the heart, enabling ourselves to transform our mortal natures. Thus, we became the Tribunal. Daggerthor had survived our attacks, and without the tools and a manner not well understood, Daggerthor also managed to establish a connection with the heart and to transform himself into an immortal being. Our plan to destroy Daggerthor also runs the risk of destroying the Tribunal. The plan is to permanently disrupt Kagranak's enchantments upon the heart, severing connections with Daggerthor and ourselves, and rendering us all once again mortal. A mortal Daggerthor may then be destroyed by mundane means. The loss of godhood and the possible death of the Tribunal are judged a necessary risk and sacrifice. The normal procedure for establishing connection with the heart is a three-step process. The wearer of Wraithguard strikes the heart with the hammer asunder, causing the heart to produce a pure tone. Then the wearer of the Wraithguard strikes the heart with the blade keening, shattering the pure tone into a prism of tone shades. These tone shades are then imprinted upon the substance of the wearer of Wraithguard, giving him an immortal and divine nature. The Nerevarine will not be taught the secret rituals required to perform the third step. Instead, the Nerevarine will strike the heart with keening for a second time, causing his tones to diverge into unstable patterns of interference. Further repeated strikes with the keening will further disrupt the tones, with the ultimate result of shattering and dispelling Kagranak's original enchantments binding the heart, thereby severing the heart's links with Daggerthor and with any surviving Heartwights and with the Tribunal. Destroying Kagranak's enchantments on the heart will also stop the corrupt diffusion of the heart's divine power and end the blight on Morrowind. The Nerevarine may be tempted to steal the power of the heart. Daggerthor and Sothasil alone know this secret. Daggerthor may, in extremity, propose to teach the Nerevarine to use Kagranak's tools to become a god. We doubt the Nerevarine is fool enough to trust to Daggerthor and are content to take the risk. Be warned, the Nerevarine cannot safely equip either Keening or Sunder unless wearing the Wraithguard. The Nerevarine will be injured every moment while holding either of these artifacts unless protected by Wraithguard. Persistence will be rewarded with death. If Nerevarine can equip an item while not wearing Wraithguard and receive no injury, the item is a counterfeit. One last note, Daggerthor must not get a hold of Wraithguard. The Nerevarine must prepare and use a recall or Almsimi intervention if there is any risk of death or capture. Daggerthor will not expect you to destroy Kagranak's enchantments on the heart. He does not know it is possible. He would not do it himself, and he knows we have never tried it. He would not believe anyone would want to sacrifice the promise of such power. Further, advancement in House Dagoth, as in all great houses, is by challenge and confrontation within the hierarchy. The Nerevarine's challenges and defeats of Ash Vampires in battles within the Sixth House will be viewed in that light. Daggerthor and his kin may assume the Nerevarine's ambition is to control the heart. Given that assumption, it is only reasonable that the Nerevarine would try to defeat each of Dagothor's subordinates in turn, working up to get Dagothor. If the Nerevarine can defeat Dagothor and control the heart, so much the better, but logically the Nerevarine would wish to rise as high in the hierarchy as possible before cutting a deal with the head of the house. Dagothor should try to recruit the Nerevarine into House Dagoth. It may be possible to pretend to join him, then betray him. However, any attempt to deceive him will be very risky. House Dagoth has a tradition of subterfuge and treachery, and because he is a deceiver, he will expect deception. We place no compulsion upon the Nerevarine to adhere to the plans described here. We believe that they offer the best chance of destroying Dagothor, but we have also chosen to place our trust in the Neravarine's judgment and skill. Frankly, we see no alternative. Excuse me. If there are any doubts or questions, speak with Vivec. He has agreed to serve as the Neravarine's guide and counselor for this campaign. It may be that if the Nerevarine succeeds, the Tribunal will not survive. Such sentiments as might have been expressed to the Tribunal should, in that case, be addressed to the land and people of Morrowind. May the happy convergence of fortune and prayer meet in our destiny. On behalf of Lady Almalexia and Lord Sothasil, take that. Nerevar at Red Mountain. I've already read this. Yeah, I've already read this one. And this is the Battle of Red Mountain, which I've already read, I believe. They basically tell you the two takes on the matter. And then finally, Dagothor's plans. The following documents were prepared by the Tribunal scholars and agents of the Inquisition for Lord Vivec. From interrogation of captured sleepers and other Sixth House cultists, from study of manuscripts written by cultists and victims of dream-induced mania, from interviews with Lord Vivec concerning historical campaigns against Red Mountain, and from broad conjectures and inferences made upon these materials, this is our best estimate of Dagothor's motivations and objectives in this most recent phase of his war upon Morrowind. Basic objectives. 1. Establish a theocracy in Morrowind based on the worship of the newborn god Akula Khan, Second Numidium, to be created by Dagothor from the heart of Lorkhan in a body constructed according to the principles and rituals pioneered by the Dwemer Kagrenak. Establish the ancient heirs of House Dagoth as the god priests of Akula Khan, and the sixth house of the Dagothor as the dominant political power in Morrowind. Through charismatic conversion, unite the Dunmer under the guidance of Dagothor to battle against the foreign animals who hold Morrowind in subjection. Note: Dagothor has apparently adopted the views and motivations of the Dwemer High Craft Lord Kagrenak. In effect, he recapitulates the ancient blasphemous folly of the Dwemer. 2. Expose the false worship to the Tribunal and destroy the ecclesiastical authority and political power of the Temple. How much the dissident priests of the cult of the Nerevarine may be controlled or influenced by the Sixth House in this regard is open to speculation. Extirpate all remaining individuals of inferior and mongrel races from Morrowind. Drive the Empire from Morrowind. Recover ancient territories stolen by Skyrim and Argonia. Extend the worship of Akula Khan to all nations of Tamriel through subversion and conquest. Plans to establish and expand the Sixth House. Well, this guy wants to conquer the world. Well, he could do it with Numidium. Phase 1. Secure Red Mountain against Tribunal intruders. Deny Tribunal access to the Temple. Deny Tribunal access to the Heart, weakening the Temple while securing Red Mountain for the creation of Akula Khan. Keep the construction of the Second Numidium a secret. Create passive servants in ever-widening circles around Red Mountain by broadcasting compulsions couched in dream imagery to susceptible subjects in their sleep. Establish a major operational base at Kogarun for further operations in the Ash Wastes. Establish smaller bases near small port villages, which I've seen, and in lower-class waterfront districts in Vivec. Infiltrate and subvert smuggling syndicates. Recruit willing followers from disaffected populations, including the underworld, the poor, and rabid anti-imperial activists. Expand from smaller bases to other towns and villages and recruit and indoctrinate subjects made susceptible by dream sendings. Occupy abandoned towers and ruins and train corrupted cultists as raiders and irregular troops. Identify, discredit, and decimate possible sources of political resistance. Use assassination and terror to weaken, distract, and disrupt the legions and the imperial bureaucracy, along with their Hlalu sympathizers. Inspire popular uprisings of the native poor against the foreign rich and powerful. Summon sleepers and dreamers to Daggerfall to work on Second Numidium. Inferring Daggerfall's perspectives. Daggerfall thinks on a large time scale, for the most part in the outskirts of time, in the outside of time scale of the divine consciousness. He thinks that only obstacles on mythic scale are worthy consideration. He believes he is fated to rule Morrowind, to free Morrowind of the Empire, and to become the new hard-loving father of Morrowind. Given that perspective, the only opposing forces Daggerfall worries about are the Tribunal, the Daedra, the Emperor, and the Incarnate. With the Tribunal's loss of Sunder and Keening, and with the diminishing resources of Vivec, Almalexia, and Sothasil, Daggerfall believes he has permanently gained a decisive strategic advantage. On the mortal timescale, the battle may last for centuries, but the outcome is not in doubt, and Akulakhan may be a device for dramatically reducing the timescale for a decisive victory. The myth of dynamic invincibility of the Emperor and the Empire has long been an unquantifiable and intimidating threat, but recent rumors of unrest in Cyrodiil, of the Emperor's failing health, and the unsettled question of the succession have diminished the scale of that threat. Nonetheless, the revelation that the Nerevarine is a pawn of Imperial intelligence, handpicked and sent to Morrowind by the Emperor himself, may cause Daggerfall considerable anxiety. The Daedra represent no coherent obstacle to Daggerfall. Nonetheless, their personal abilities and their influence upon their fanatic followers is considerable. Their motives and actions obscure, and Daggerfall remains concerned about them. The Incarnate represents Saint Nerevar, a mythic force that has previously defeated Daggerfall, and Daggerfall is obsessed with this threat. At the same time, Daggerfall knew Nerevar personally, knew that he was a mortal man with faults and weaknesses. Daggerfall may have some hope of seducing or negotiating with Nerevar's reincarnation. Further, when Nerevar and the Tribunal defeated Daggerfall, they were strong and allied. Now the Nerevarine and the Tribunal are weak, opposed, and divided. Therefore, though the Nerevarine and the Tribunal represent the most serious threat to Daggerfall's plans, he still has good reason to believe that this time he will prevail. A recent timescale of Daggerfall's activities. Much of the following timescale is based on interference from incomplete information. Before Second Era 882, Daggerfall and his kin lie dreaming beneath the sills of Red Mountain. Second Era 882. Daggerfall and his ash vampires awake refreshed and emerge from lower Red Mountain into the Heart Chamber. Daggerfall ritually binds himself and his brethren as Heartwights in a ritual of his own devising, first stages of construction of Second Numidium, conceived during the long sleep. Are begun by Heartwights and Atronac constructs in a chamber near the heart of Lorkhan. Keeping the Second Numidium project a secret from the Tribunal is a high priority. The Tribunal arrive at Red Mountain for their annual ritual bathing in the Heart's power. Daggerfall and ash vampires ambush the Tribunal. The Tribunes are driven away and prevented from restoring themselves with Kagranak's tools at the heart of Lorkhan. Oh wow, that's like 400 years. Intermittent Tribunal campaigns assault Red Mountain. The Tribunal and supporting forces seek to force access to the Heart Chamber, but are repeatedly driven back. Daggerfall recruits sleepers and dreamers through dream sendings. Cultists are recruited through dream compulsion. Weaker cultists become corpus beasts. Stronger cultists advance through stages towards the powers of the ascended sleepers. Kogorun, reoccupied by Daggerfall and fortified as an advanced base for 6th House operations. Blight storms more frequent and widespread. Soul sickness spreads in regions close to the Red Mountain. 6th House bases are founded near Narmak and in waterfront areas of Vivec. 6th House operatives exploit smuggler organizations and communications to spread their influence amongst victims unbalanced by Daggerfall's dream sendings. Small cells of 6th House cultists in every town in Vardenfell. Larger 6th House operations are concealed in remote dungeons where creatures are bred and cultists are trained for the coming struggle. Almalexia and Sothasil lose the artifacts Keening and Sunder to Dagath Odrus and Vemin. Vivec rescues Almalexia and Sothasil, but failing to recover Keening and Sunder, the Tribunal retreat from Red Mountain in disorder. Surviving buoyant armiger companions know the Tribunal was forced to retreat, but do not know how serious a reversal the Tribunal has suffered. The 3 Tribunes return to their respective capitals and continue to perform their ritual functions. The Tribunes continue to grow weaker without access to the heart, and because of resources required to support the Ghost Vents. The inner circle of the Temple priesthood has begun to suspect the Tribunes have suffered seriously from wounds and demoralization in the wake of reverses at Red Mountain, but do not recognize the scale of the problem. campaign of Sixth House assassinations of prominent Imperial citizens and Hlalu Imperial sympathizers. Sudden increase in number and seriousness of attacks by cultists and victims deranged by soul sickness. Noted with concern. 1. Daggerfall can apparently perceive and communicate directly through his cultists. Sleepers and dreamers are often reported speaking as though with Daggerfall's voice and intention. 2. Little is known about the feature, scale, or stage of completion of a Kulakan. No one has gained entrance to the Heart Chamber since the Second Era, like 400 years plus. In Third Era 416, Keening and Sunger were captured and may substantially aid in the Kulakan's construction. Alright, so that's like, this shows you like this war is in the closing days one way or the other. And that was a lot of reading back and forth. That is basically the entire episode here. So I am in the last stretch of this. I've got to go to the Ghost Fence. I've got to do some scouting around Red Mountain. I've got to go to individual dungeons and track down various creatures to kill. So, yeah, it looks like I'm in the last stretch. I'm going to wrap it up here, and in the next episode we'll be at Ghost Fence. For now, this is the RPG Crawler with the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. If you like what you've seen and you really like watching me read all of this shit, then remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more RPG content. Until next time, take care and goodbye.